May 30th will, of course, be a magnificent fight as O'Shaquie Foster looks to defend his WBC Super Featherweight World title against Raymond Ford, the former WBA Featherweight World Champion. Obviously, very good fight. The undercard, you can't complain, you know? Of course, Ford will be looking to become a two-division world champion, and Foster's looking to once again silence the doubters because goddamn do they be doubting him a lot. Goddamn, every single time they're like, oh, Foster ain't like that, Foster ain't like that, and he keeps proving them wrong. They're like, no, but next time they'll get him though. You get what I'm trying to say, right? But besides that, Raymond Ford, savage, 18-1-1, 8 wins by way of knockout. One loss, of course, that going to Nick Ball in the 5v5 event in Riyadh by split decision. I personally thought Ford won that. But, I mean, okay, most people thought he won that, but it's whatever. And a split decision draw to Aaron Perez back in 2021. Of course, he has beaten people like Jesse Magdaleno, Thomas Matisse, Abraham Nova, and Orlando Gonzalez. Pretty good run. One of his best wins, that being Otabek Kalmatov, that being where he won the WBA title, stopping him in the literally very last round. As close you could get to the final bell, he stopped him. He was actually would have lost that fight if he didn't stop him. Or at least, if he got another knockdown, I think he would have won. But that's besides the point. He takes on O'Shaquie Foster, Ice Water, or Shock, depending on which one he wants to choose that day. He's 24-3, 12 wins by way of knockout, 3 losses. Now, of course, 3 losses, it seems like a lot. And one of them actually came recently, but you could make a good argument that he probably shouldn't have that loss on his record. But then again, you could also make another good argument that he should have his loss in the next fight. But that's besides the point. We'll talk about that later. The last time he lost before that was back in 2016 by split decision. So clearly a long time. And who did he lose to recently? That being Robson Conceição. He lost by split decision, losing his title. But he then rematched Conceição and then beat him by split decision to regain his title. So clearly he is of he likes his split decisions. Matter of fact, he had 3 straight split decisions in the span of fighting Abraham Nova and Conceição twice. All split decisions. Now, of course, Abraham Nova is the common opponent between them. Ford did beat Nova in a wider decision, but that was also like later on in Nova's career. Because after that, he would lose after fighting Foster. And then he would get a draw, and then he beat someone with a negative record. So clearly you could say Foster beat the better Nova, right? But that's besides the point. Foster's coming off of one of his best wins in his career, that being against Stephen Fulton, where he just dominated that fight. I mean, clearly Fulton, matter of fact, I don't think I uploaded that video, but I had Fulton winning because of what he showed against the fight with Figueroa, and also because Foster, one of his main problems, I don't know if he's fixed that, I think he might have, is that he never really pushes on the gas pedal, never puts the pedal to the metal. He's content with winning rounds, but not content in like ultra dominating rounds, especially in this fight with Eduardo Hernandez and Abraham Nova, where both fights, Foster was clearly showing that he was the better fighter, but like his work rate would let Nova and Hernandez have a chance at coming back in the fight, because obviously Nova could have won that fight if he wasn't dropped in the last round, and Eduardo Hernandez would have won that fight if he didn't get knocked down in the last round. Once again, close calls. But then you also get absolute domination like he did against Ray Vargas to win the title in Stephen Fulton. So Foster's hit or miss for the most part in terms of whether he's dominating or not. The people he's supposed to dominate, he struggles with. People he's supposed to struggle with, he dominates. Like, literally, he dominated Ray Vargas and Stephen Fulton. People thought those were going to be close fights, or he was going to straight up lose those fights. And then the other ones, they were like, oh, Foster got that one. Nope, dude was struggling. I was like, what? But what the people he struggle with have in common is simple. Output. Conceição and Hernandez are high output fighters, aggressive. And it doesn't matter if they either miss or land on the shoulders, they're more than content of landing whatever, racking up points. And yeah, Foster likes to pick his shots on the end. He likes to pick his shots. He's more than content waiting it out for the perfect shot, which of course costs him some rounds sometimes. So who do I think is going to win this fight? Look, I like both fighters. Raymond Ford and Rocky Foster are two really good fighters. Arguably some of the best at super featherweight. The only person you could even make an argument on who's better than them would be Emmanuel Navarrete. But even then, you could make a good argument that Foster should be number one in the division instead of him. But of course, Navarrete has 2 belts, so that's more than enough argument. But Ford's the explosive one. He's the smaller one. He's the guy on the inside. And of course, Foster will take advantage of that, making sure Ford pays every single time he gets in. The difference is Ford is the resume. That's the thing. The most important part is the resume. Ford has fought some great people. But I think Foster has beaten the better people. He's beaten people like, obviously, Fulton, seen as the best guy at featherweight at the time. Colin St. Sal, who was always a top contender. People should have thought he should have got the nod against Valdez. Of course, he didn't. But he did get the nod against Foster. So, technically, he was a champion. So, can't go wrong with that. Eduardo Hernandez, a good fighter. Ray Vargas, obviously, he's looking to become a 3-division world champion. Couldn't do it against Foster. So, the way it's going to go, it's a 50-50 fight. Here's the thing. The odds have it around 50-50. Everyone has it 50-50. People saying, oh, Ford's going to dominate. Oh, no, Foster's going to dominate. Here's the thing. I think it's just going to come down to the fact that when Foster's dominating, his opponent has very little success, like at all. He's too defensive that when he's in his, I guess you could say his element, you're not really going to do anything to him. But when Ford's in his element, he's still an aggressive fighter who has to get in close, giving his opponent opportunities to land something. Do they land something? No. But he gives them a chance. The difference is Ford has not fought real much anyone like Foster. He's fought longer people. Obviously, Komatov is one of them, but he struggled against them. And Komatov is not nearly the defensive boxer that Ford is. Not as Foster. Foster has fought these explosive fighters. Obviously not explosive on the feet. Obviously, this will be his first time fighting really much someone with the fast feet of Ford, or at least in a long time. He's beaten aggressive people before. He knows his distance. He knows his jab. But the difference is empty space. If Foster can fill in that empty space, which in some fights he hasn't, Ford can easily steal those rounds and get himself a decision. So it's really much Foster's fight to lose. If Foster does not fill in those empty spaces in the fights with a jab or anything, Ford's going to pick up the decision. Simple as that. Because at the end of the day, I think Foster's the better fighter. I think Foster's defensive ability is stronger than Ford's offensive ability. And the counter-punching skills of Foster, his distance management, his jab, overall ring generalship, as they would say, I think beats Ford. But once again, there's going to be a lot of empty space where Foster usually lets it just hang in the air. And Ford will not let that stay. He will try to fill in that empty space and get himself the round. So it's up to Foster on whether or not he wants to fill in the empty space. Once again, it is Foster's fight to lose. Overall, Foster, this is his weight class. This is his championship. This is his fight to lose. Raymond Ford, phenomenal fighter. It's not going to be a one-sided beatdown by any stretch of the imagination. But give me Foster by 8-4 or 7-5, winning himself the decision. People say he's not going to go to the decision. And don't get me wrong, it could make sense. But Foster, the only people he stopped are the highly aggressive ones that are up in your face. Ford is aggressive, but he isn't always up in your face. He always likes to keep some distance between them so he can explode in, He likes to stay inside, but not for too long, unlike some other fighters. So I think it's going to go decision. Even if Ford is the one winning the fight, Foster has the chin and durability to survive whatever Ford is throwing at him. But anyways, who do you guys have winning this fight? Leave it down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.